3 hours and 9 minutes. 3 hours and 9 minutes. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of Babylon. I'm a blind film critic, and this film has audio description on Paramount Plus, where it has finally landed. Thank God. 3 hours and 9 minutes is what Damien Chazelle wanted me to sit in the theater watching this film. No. Yeah, so as a blind film critic, this film I realize is like a visual, artistic masterpiece. I get that. This is Damien Chazelle's fourth film. And unfortunately, First Man was also at a time in which I also couldn't see, lost my vision. So I've only seen Whiplash and La La Land, but now I've officially seen all of Damien Chazelle's work. I'm well versed again on Damien Chazelle. I think this film has been all over the radar in terms of liking it, not liking it, how people feel about it, how people don't feel. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I should be able to do a long-ass review since all y'all are going to go out and watch a 3 hour and 9 minute movie. I shouldn't feel so constrained to like, oh my God, my review is too long. Apparently Damien Chazelle gives 0 thoughts. But yeah, it's mostly I'm positive on this. First thing I'll say no is 3 hours and 9 minutes is unacceptable. No. You're not Francis Ford Coppola. This is not your Godfather. Calm the fuck down, Damien Chazelle. Go back, sit at the editing table, and tighten this film up, because it does need to be tightened up. It has pacing issues because he refused to cut apparently anything he shot footage of, and just put it all in the film. It's all there. And it's a ride. This film is a ride, because it is just some parts of it are like frenetic energy for long periods of time. It's like nonstop, like pulse pounding, heart racing, party scenes with lots of things going on, people just having sex out in the open, people just doing drugs and getting drunk, and people dying, and then people just kind of moving on. Like literally, it's just like, oh, dead body, whatever. Can we get rid of it? Yeah, I want to get rid of it. So it just, it's a lot of that, and it is backed by this score. This score we need to talk about. I need to get like 18 critics in the room, and we need to all talk about this fucking score that they keep praising. It's a bit much, if we're being really honest. Is it great? Yeah, it's cool to listen to, but holy shit, is it overused. Like, it is so bombastic. It is so over the top. It's like, it's not even, it feels like it's not balanced correctly. It feels like the score is the lead in the film. It's like Babylon starring Justin Hurwitz's score, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. It's at some points, it's like, it feels like it's all Damien Chazelle wants you to pay attention to is this score, which, what I love about the score is that it feels like it's constantly transforming, and it doesn't fit to just one thing. Like a score to a film traditionally has themes and modes that really match and blend through, and you feel like if you're watching Star Wars, no matter where, like take the movie out, just listen to the score, pop the CD in, and just listen to the score, and you feel like no matter where you are, it's like a Star Wars score, right? Well, this one feels like it's trying to incorporate a whole bunch of different like movie concepts from around the time period in which this film is set, which is like the late 1920s into the early 1930s. So yeah, it's got a lot of those big swelling scores, and it feels like it's trying to bleed into different genres. It's got a little bit of jazz, but it also has just scores that feel like that running along the beach romantically to your, you've got like the guy and he's running to the girl at the beach, and the music's swelling and everything is just, it feels like it has that too. Like Justin Hurwitz literally wrote like 20 different scores for like 20 different movies, and then threw them into this film and pushed it out. But when he did so, he pushed it out in the loudest way possible. And Damien Chazelle was just like, yeah, cool. Let's make the score the lead of the film. And that's what it feels like. It feels like it's a bit much, and it is a bit much in some scenes. It's overpowering. It pulls too much away. He also has great sound design. His Dolby team did an amazing job here. Just in terms of the sound effects, there's a whole lot of focus on sound in the film, and it was not lost on me at all. Some of the choices that he made. There's my favorite sequence in the film, and actually one of my favorite sequences of the year is in Babylon. Even though this film is long as shit, and I would have taken like hedge clippers to this film. And one of my favorite scenes is the soundstage scene with Margot Robbie, where they like, it shows the intensity back in the day when they couldn't figure out how to like soundproof things, and the mics the mics just picked up everything. So like it mattered like what kind of shoe you were wearing. Like this one guy, he hears something and he thinks it's like some like replacement in somebody's ankle. Like, I'm like, dude, this guy's like a fucking X-Men. He's got hearing, like radar hearing. But he's worried about every little sound that is not supposed to be picked up being picked up by a microphone. And that scene was fire. That was the best scene in the film for me. There's a lot of really solid scene, a lot of great work in the film. Brad Pitt is fantastic. But that one scene, which is actually quite long, it's about I want to say it's about a 15-minute scene. I wouldn't cut it at all. I think the part of what makes that scene work is the longevity spent in it, is actually sitting in it and feeling the frustration, because the frustration builds with all the characters as they keep getting the shot, and then there's like another sound, and then there's another sound, and there's another sound, and or she messes up her line finally when there is no sound, and yeah, it's that was easy. Yeah, that was one of the best scenes of any film this year. And Damien Chazelle's understanding of how movie making works is part of the reason why Babylon does work. His refusal to understand pacing, though, in his own film, and believe that a 3-hour and 9-minute film is exactly what the world needs, is the downfall of the film. Tonally, the film's all over the place, and it's okay. It's fine. Like there's a great joke about when two men are standing in the bathroom and they're talking about sound, and they're like, do you think people really want sound in their movies? And that was a perfect moment. that was a me give Damien Chazelle a thumbs up, because that was the perfect commentary moment on sound in films from somebody whose breakthrough film is based on sound. Whiplash doesn't work without the sound, because it's a drummer, right? It's like you have to have the sound in the film. So his commentary on sound in film is so interesting and so bizarre in that moment, but it was a cool moment. It was a cute moment. It was a good joke. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know why we needed the elephant shitting at the beginning. I don't. I look back, I watched the whole film, and I was like, why does this film open with an elephant shitting on someone? Why? It's not even a major character. It's just... and like, the elephant itself is not even like that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even I mean, it ends up being used later on in the scene for something else, but it's not like, I feel like it wasn't quite as justified. Even his presence wasn't quite as justified as it needed to be for it to be shitting all over somebody. So, there's that. Performances are great. Diego Calva reminds me of sort of like a really young Javier Bardem. He's got some energy to him, but it only comes out when it's necessary. It's very, otherwise he's very sort of controlled. In a lot of his dialogue and the way that he stands and speaks to people, it's very serious. But he also has the ability to do a little bit more of the frenetic comedic work that the film requires him to do. I haven't seen Living, so I don't necessarily know if he missed out on a top 5. I don't think he did. I don't think he missed out on a top 5 spot. I think even if I could replace somebody in the top 5 for Best Actor, I don't think I would have put Diego Calva up there. It's a nice role for him to break through in. I kind of think he's the lead. It's really hard to tell. It depends on how you look at the film. I came away with the film, it feels like there's rotating leads in some respects. Like at some points Brad Pitt feels like he's the lead of the film, and then he feels like he's supporting. And some points Diego Calva feels like he's the lead of the film, and then he feels like he's supporting. And at some point Margot Robbie feels like she's the lead of the film, and then she feels like she's supporting. But I think at the end of the day, at least for me, when I was thinking about who putting where in what categories, I don't pay attention to FYC campaigns. I don't give a shit what they think. If they want to push Michelle Williams in lead, that's no. So I was thinking about who is our introduction into this world, and it really is Diego Calva. First of all, he's like the first character on screen, and we're being introduced step by step into Hollywood as he is being introduced step by step into Hollywood and moving up in the world. He just also happens to meet Margot Robbie rather early, and she moves up, but in like a different trajectory. It's sort of like Diego has more of the behind the scenes trajectory, and she has more of a on camera trajectory. So, and then Brad Pitt just has a ton of screen time because he's Brad Pitt. And he plays, at the time, Hollywood's biggest star, who is fictitious. But at the time, this guy's like the biggest. He's the bee's knees. There are a lot of references to things throughout the film. The film knows exactly where it is. There's a direct reference to Singing in the Rain. So if you feel like this film is sharing its some sort of spiritual soul with Singing in the Rain, it knows it is, and directly references Singing in the Rain if you give it a chance. If you make it to the end of the film, you'll be like, yep, it knew it was Singing in the Rain. Damien Chazelle absolutely knows what this film is, and he knows what he's trying to do. He just does not know that it's too long. That's the only thing here that he does not know. He believes that 3 hours and 9 minutes is an appropriate length for this movie, and it's not. It's just not. The film is way too long. It has pacing issues. The film moves at like frenetic paces, and I didn't notice the runtime until we had these slower moments. Until he just drops back and lets off, and suddenly nobody's doing cocaine. The music isn't loud. There are no flashing lights. The room isn't circling, isn't revolving anymore. And we're just supposed to have like a serious conversation, and I'm just like, wait, what film am I in now? And the funny thing is, as the film progresses, you get kind of more and more of those moments and less of the frenetic energy. So there's a lot of frenetic energy really up front, and then towards the end there's just a little bit less of it, and then all of a sudden it just comes back. It just comes back in like the weirdest way possible. There's this underground scene thing that they go to, the Diego Calva experiences, that is just I probably would have cut the whole scene, if I'm gonna be honest. I mean, oddities, I guess, is why it's there, but I probably would have cut that scene, if I'm being honest. I just, narratively, I'm like, I don't know why we're here. Yeah. And I know it was all to try to get to the end result of the ending of the film, but I feel like we could have done that quicker and shorter in a different way. And I don't think that had anything to do with movie making. So, I don't know. This film is a lot. But because it's a lot, I have to lay down real quick and say, unfortunately, I hate the fact that I don't know how to get my Paramount Plus to stop sending me into other films. Oh my God. Guys, it thought I wanted to watch Wolf of Wall Street. It thought I wanted to watch 2 3-hour movies back to back. And I was just like, fuck you, Paramount Plus. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to watch 2 3-hour movies back to back. Go away. But, it's like, oh, you sat through one really long movie. Maybe you'll like another one. But it's the audio description here is one of the best of the year. It's hands down. I don't know who did it, but congratulations. You deserve an award. Seriously, I'm not being facetious. You and your team deserve an award for this audio description. It's there are plenty of times where Damien Chazelle, because he's in a sexual fucking relationship with his own score, and cannot not make it the star of the film. The star, I'm not kidding with you. The star of this film is this fucking score. It's obnoxious. It really is. I know there's so many people out there who are gonna blast me. They're gonna be like, "The score is great." It is. I understand why you like it. It's a bit much. It's overused and it's really loud in places that it doesn't need to be. But Damien Chazelle does not understand that. He does not know. He doesn't know when it's too much. He just lets the score do its own thing. Like he's in a relationship with it, like how you would with your girlfriend, right? And you're like, I don't want to fight with my girlfriend, so I'm just gonna let her go do her thing. You're gonna give her notes? Nah, I'm not gonna give her notes. I'm just gonna go do. She's just gonna go do her own thing. So, yeah, and that's kind of how Babylon's score works. But because of that, there are scenes with very little dialogue, and in those scenes we have a ton of audio description. The audio description team just went for broke, and they tried so hard to get every little thing in. What people were doing in the background, what a couple was doing. I got the bottle up the ass in the audio description. The woman shoving a bottle up a dude's ass. There are times where they walk through a movie set and you're seeing like a ton of different movie sets, right? You're on a sound stage. So it's like one movie's being shot here, one movie's being shot here, one movie's being shot here. And it's such a perfect flow because there's no dialogue to interrupt it. So the audio description person just crams so much in there to allow you to visually understand where you are and what it is that you're doing. It's one of the greatest achievements in audio description this year is Babylon. I hope people remember it at the end of the year for what it is. Even little moments. Somebody wiping a little bit of cocaine off their nose, something we wouldn't have noticed. There's a whole bunch of things that I benefited from watching this film with audio description. This team did an amazing job. So much so that I hope Damien Chazelle tweets them. Like, he doesn't... I don't know how many blind people saw this film, but his film would not have worked for blind people without this audio description. And there is a sliding scale. Not all audio description is exactly the same. Not all of it is created equally. And he lucked out. He got a team that came to play. And the audio description fantastic. I never, not once did I feel lost. Did I feel like I didn't know what was going on in a 3 hour and 9 minute movie. God damn you. 3 hours and 9 minutes. Yes, every actor in this film is great. Diego Calva probably gets the least amount of praise simply because we don't really know what else he does like, in terms of his rate. To be honest, that's kind of what happens with breakthrough performers. You don't know. Is that all they got? Will we ever see them again? Maybe they've got only this one thing. It feels a lot better to sort of look at an established artist and go, oh, Brad Pitt's great. It's a great Brad Pitt role. Brad Pitt's at this point in his career where he is kind of aging out, and this one must really hit him because he's really good at it. The way that our star system is kind of moving away from actual stars, bankable A-listers aren't as much of a thing anymore. Even though he's a big name, it's not the same as when he first came up, where he could just put his name on a product and people just went and saw the Brad Pitt movie. He's had some flops, including Babylon. So I think the fact that his character goes through that is really good and really close to home for him. Margot Robbie is electric. She's all over the place. But it feels very much like a Margot Robbie performance. Like, it was a no-brainer for me. If somebody handed me the script and I was looking at it, I'd be like, okay, we're calling Margot Robbie. It feels like perfect casting, which is, I think, part of the reason why she's not getting quite the praise. She also disappears for parts of the film, which is why I sort of wonder. I had a problem with, because I'm still putting together my list to give them out to you guys of who the top 10 in each category is. I have a problem with lead or supporting with her. And I put her in supporting. She does disappear for parts of the film. And meanwhile, Diego Calva never really disappears. The film is always about Diego Calva. Whether Brad Pitt's not there, whether Margot Robbie's not there, Diego is always the constant in the story. So she has a lot of screen time, but so does Brad Pitt. It's really weird to say that Margot Robbie is a lead and Brad Pitt is not. I think they have relatively equal amount of screen time. I don't think it's that different. And if I had to pull somebody out of the supporting cast and say, other than the three that you've heard about, who else should have gotten praise? Jean Smart. Jean Smart is fantastic. She plays like a head hopper type gossip columnist, and she's really good at it. So, yeah, there's really a lot to like here. I actually don't hate the film. I know I'm making fun of it a lot, but sometimes, we make fun of things we love too. It needs to be shorter. I don't know that it needs to be dramatically shorter, but 3 hours and 9 minutes is a lot. I think, looking at the film and the fact that I didn't feel the runtime until it started to slow down. I didn't feel the runtime until he lost his energy, and that was like a good hour and a half into the film. I mean, like, for an hour and a half, it didn't even feel like an hour and a half to me. I didn't even realize. It takes forever for the word Babylon to pop up on screen. So, and I didn't even bother me. I was just, whatever. There are some side characters who come in and out and have, like, their own things. There's a rising black star that they incorporate when they're starting to incorporate black talent instead of having white guys who do blackface. They start incorporating black guys in there, but he's not black enough. So there's this really powerful moment where he's asked to become blacker, so that he matches the rest of the band, because he makes the band look mixed race by being in there, and they think that nobody will watch. It's a really interesting scene, and I think that was handled best way possible in the moments, and it was sad that was that character's arc. You know, he was just a supporting character. He's in there for a few seconds, and he's like, "Oh, I'm here. I've made it. Oh shit, I have to sell my soul. Fuck." Yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of people like that. So there's some weird shit here. You will see some things that if you can see, you will see some shit that you can't unsee. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I don't know why this film didn't get a Best Picture nomination. I mean, it's not in my top 10, but I feel like this checks off a lot of boxes. It must be the runtime, because I can't really think of anything else. I feel like the cast is solid. His energy is good. Unless I'm right and everybody hates the score. It feels like it's a bit much. We'll find out. If this thing wins Best Original Score, there's no reason it should have been nominated for, because the only thing I can think about is, and yes, I've seen this complaint from at least another movie critic. At least one other critic I saw make the exact same complaint. And at the time, he felt like he was in the lifeboat by himself. He's not. I felt the same thing. I was like, oh my God, it is so much. It is so much. But it's good. It's great music. I would love to listen to it separately from the film. It's just that in some scenes, it kills the moment because it's too much. And I know in a film about extravagance and decadence and climbing budgets and just being able to have everything and being on top, that you would think that having a bombastic score would be exactly what this film needs. Not in every scene. It does not. There are plenty of scenes where the score is overpowering for what it's trying to do. So, all right. I'm pretty positive on Babylon, but it's not in my top 10. But I think there's a multiverse in which Damien Chazelle asked somebody else for feedback, and he got feedback, and he cut like 15 minutes out of the film, and there's a stronger cut of the film. And maybe he dialed back the score, and then in that world, it is in my top 10, because there's some really terrific stuff here. So don't throw the baby out with bathwater. See Babylon, you'll get through it. But there's some really great stuff that if you ignore it and you don't watch it because you're afraid of the 3-hour 9-minute movie, you're gonna miss some great stuff. And if you're at all interested in this period in Hollywood history, then Damien Chazelle does a really great job of capturing it. So he just doesn't do a great job of editing it. I'm gonna give Babylon a B+. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, why not? If you thought this review was too long, you're about to watch a 3-hour 9-minute movie. So put that into perspective. And I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. It'll let you know who is describing your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I will review something else and see you guys on the other side as I bend over to pick up my remote that fell on the floor in the time I was doing my review. So I can turn off a camera.